This is Zombie Woof at the schoolhouse from Excelsior Studio in West Virginia. Blue skies high.
When my kids got to be over 10 years old, we started taking a summer road trip, and we got all around. We mainly went out west, and more than once went all the way to the Pacific, and often actually spent more time in Montana, Wyoming, Utah, New Mexico, little Colorado, and Kansas. I love Kansas. I don't know. I think my family's okay with Kansas too, or they've been really nice to put up with my Kansas vacation. The Kansas vacations we've taken. I mean, my wife and I and my daughter, when she was like in her early 20s, maybe college, we didn't like get to take a particularly long vacation that year, and I came up with the idea of let's just go to Kansas because that's only a 2-day drive and that's it. And then we can spend a few days in Kansas and you don't spend as many days on the road. We did this. And I don't think we regret it at all. I mean, Kansas is flat. That's a beautiful thing. That's like it's amazing. My wife doesn't like the cattle business, and neither do I. But you know, that's only like a third of the state or a quarter. It's mostly corn, and then there's like the Flint Hills where it's rolling hills. But we went to a somewhat well-known restaurant in Kansas City, which caters to like a kind of upscale football club and a baseball franchise kind of crowd, and they've got all these autographed pictures on the wall of all these sports players from Kansas City. And yet it's really like a very like mom and pop or home style. And in fact, that's how it's served up, is home style, and it's chicken. And it is delicious fried chicken. And the reason I know about it is because I heard about it on NPR. They did the 10 best fried chickens in America, the top 10, and it was number one. So I wound up stopping there, and it's remarkably good. I mean, you know, there are dimensions and aspects to what makes fried chicken good, like 4 or 5 major considerations, and it nails them all. You just can't argue with it. But they bring it out family style, so however many are sitting at your table, it's just your group. But if you got 4 people, you get a big bowl of chicken in the middle of the table, from which everybody helps themselves. And in fact, it's all you can eat, and it's not expensive either. It's remarkable. I mean, if you're ever in Kansas City, it's sort of on the southwest end, where it starts to be suburbs, and it's called Strouds, Strouds, Strouds. I mean, they're a gem. If you like fried chicken, I mean, they're very good. So we went to Kansas, and when we were eating at Strouds, like the waitress, I don't know, obviously I'm a easy mark as a tourist because she's like, so where you headed? I'm still not quite sure why I was such an easy mark. I kept thinking, like, what exactly tipped her off? I mean, surely they get a lot of customers they've never seen before. Is everybody passing through? Is this a Kansas City thing? I don't know. Maybe I had on Bermuda short. I don't know. Anyway, I say, like, oh, we came to see Kansas. And she just like looked at me, and she looked at my wife and my daughter, and then she just said, nobody comes to Kansas. And but I was just like, well, you can't say that anymore because here we are, and like we plan to go to the Flint Hills, and we're driving on out to Wichita, and we're gonna do Dodge City, even though it's like it's dusty. I mean, there's the Garden of Eden, which is like just like 10 minutes off of the interstate on, I think it's I-80, might be, no, probably 70. And 10 minutes off there is where some crazy guy like made concrete statues and sculptures all over his kind of almost suburban yard, and then he died. And he had himself like buried in his own backyard above ground with a window, so you could look in at him in there, dead and all. And I mean, it's like it's a tourist attraction. You know, they got a sign out on the interstate. I remember driving by that 30 years ago, 40 years ago, thinking, what the heck is the Garden of Eden? Never heard of that in Kansas. But I've been there now. I think we've been there twice. It's like, $6. You get to tour the house. You get to look at the statues from the backside and the front. And basically, the guy just like wanted to do it, so he did. I mean, God knows the zoning freedom. Think of it. Think of it. It's probably 50 years ago, but now he's there. He's dead. Somebody owns it. They're charging $6. You get to walk around. That's cool. Cawker City is like 20 minutes from there. They've got the biggest ball of twine in the world. It's impressive. It's like 9 feet in diameter. You can walk around it. I mean, kind of the ritual is you bring twine and you add to it, and we didn't have twine. And I've been there twice. I got no excuse. Surely I should have had the twine the second time. But I've got pictures like of me and my family like pushing the ball, giving the ball the finger. I mean, what are you going to do? It's in the park. It's under a gazebo roof, and it's right there. You can't miss it. It's a pretty small town. That's the only thing they've got is the ball of twine, but they're on the map. And shoot, 5 minutes from there, there's this like 1,000-acre lake, bigger, several 1,000-acre lake that's just sort of there, and like nobody out on it. And like we look, and there's a campground right there with like a picnic area, and we pull in, and there's like a playground, and there's like 2 people here. And there's like, oh, we can finally see there's like one fishing boat out there in the lake. It's a beautiful lake. You could have like speedboats out there and water skis, but this is Kansas, and it's quiet. It's really quiet. I mean, this, I will say, it was a weekday, and very possibly on the weekend there could be some boats out there, right? I mean, God knows if you lived there, you'd probably want to have a boat. It's an amazing lake. One of the shorter ones, we just went up to Maine, and it's only a couple days drive, but I was driving a minivan that at that time had a problematic brake fluid pump. And I had a mechanic at that time who was like really cheap, and he also knew what he was doing, which meant you could never get it done, or certainly not on time. And although I cajoled him for days leading up to the trip, and obviously it wasn't his fault. I'm the one who should have known better. It wound up where the night before we left, he was out there with his lights and his tools, and at the end of his efforts, he handed me a broomstick, and he said, "Look, man, I can't fix it. It's failing, but it's not failed. It's intermittent, and we can't get the part. And I've called everywhere, and I don't have one. You're not going to have a part by tomorrow. So here's what you got to do. You open the hood, right, and you take the broomstick, and you can see the brake fluid pump in the back, kind of under the brake fluid reservoir where you pour in the brake fluid if it's like a 30-year-older car than these days. And you could see this thing back there. It's about the size of a grenade. I don't know why I think of that. It's about the size of an avocado, and a large avocado. And you take the broom and handle, and you get in there, and you just kind of hit it, like not super hard, but you just give it a good whack, maybe once or twice. And what that does is it like knocks loose the thing that's stuck, or it like rotates the brushes to where they're, anyway, it gets it going again, but only for like half an hour, right? Half an hour. So for half an hour, you're fine. So we're on a road trip, and you're driving, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 hours a day. So it's going to be a lot of times that you got to get out. And we had the broom, right? So, we're doing all the rest stops. But the thing was, after a while, it's coming, and you're dreading it. But when the pump stops working, the brakes don't immediately stop. They get soft gradually. Not so much over time, but more as a result of use. So if you can keep driving without having to use the brakes, you kind of don't have to stop. And if you're on an interstate, that's a pretty easy option, right? But then, every now and then you're going to slow down a little, and you're going to use some up, and you're going to start to notice that you're not slowing down as easily. And you have to start thinking about hitting that rest stop because like when you hit the rest stop, you're going to have to slow down, and you better do it before you can't do that. So we did that all the way to Maine and back. I mean, kind of took it in stride. Didn't really bum us out. I was kind of pissed at my mechanic, but that was just wrong of me. I should have been pissed at myself. But yeah, I mean, some of you can relate, maybe some of you can't. On one road trip, we were in Hollywood, and we were just walking back to our car from the main street, and there was what looked like probably an unhoused guy who was leaning up against the building, and he looked pretty rough and dirty and pretty drunk too, and I don't know, he was rough. And standing right in front of him on the sidewalk, like quite close, almost into his personal space, was a well-dressed man in a suit and tie. And as I walked by, I heard the well-dressed man. He was kind of pointing at the guy actually, and he was definitely, he had to be evangelizing him. And I was just getting to where I might hear what this evangelist was saying to the guy. But at that moment, the guy up against the building interrupted him and said, "Well, let me tell you a thing or two, Buster." I wish I'd have stayed to hear what he said. Honest to God, ever since then, I've imagined what he said. I've come up with some interesting, fun. I mean, I think my favorite imagination there is he was like, "I was a preacher once myself." I thought it was going to be pretty good because he seemed to have an answer.